questions, so I apologize. I didn't think I was going to be nervous about this, but I don't know how you sum up 22 years of friendship in a short speech, but here I go. So, hello everyone, and welcome on this scorching hot day. It's not too hot anymore, so I shouldn't have written that. To the Irwin Estate for such a beautiful wedding of two amazing people. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Abby Main, and these are actually my old stomping grounds. The house I actually grew up in is right back there. So if you guys see the house through the woods right there, those were the neighbors across the street from me. And so most of my fondest childhood memories lie in between these two houses, since the neighbors graciously, those people, they graciously allowed the Main and Irwin kids to trot back and forth between the two places at all times of day and night. I love standing here and remembering those times, driving ATVs and go-karts around the yard, sleepovers on the trampoline, thousands of movie nights where Meredith falls asleep 5 minutes into the movie, sneaking over in the middle of the night to go TP somebody's house. I'm sorry if you were a victim at some point. And also splitting a Bud Light between four of us and thinking we're drunk. I'm not going to call, okay, I'll call them out. It was me, Jenny, James, Curtis, Taylor, Meredith was asleep. So, all right, so I truly grew up here with this family, and I'm forever grateful for that. But of course, I should tell the story of how I met Meredith. Growing up with someone as kids, then going through teenage angst together, onto learning how to be an adult together is special, yes, but not unique. Whereas how we met is both special and unique. One day back in the winter of 2001, that was a long time ago, I've seen John's history books, like they write history, like there's chapters in the books about 2001 now. But back in the winter of 2001, my brother, sister, and I decided to deal with our winter boredom by talking to each other in different parts of the yard and house with walkie-talkies our parents bought primarily for skiing. In the middle of our antics, a voice that didn't belong to one of us, was clearly a child, came on yelling, "We're on channel 2, James." And that voice turned out to be none other than our lovely bride here, Meredith Irwin. And the conversation that followed would lead to a decades and probably forever, hopefully forever, definitely forever, long friendship between our two families. We spent many vacations with each other, with each other's families, from northern Michigan to Kiowa Island in South Carolina and many other places. We grew extremely close. Mr. and Mrs. Irwin know that if they found a random glass of soda lying on the ground in their backyard, that was me. And my parents know that if they come home from vacation to find someone broke into their house just to turn every painting and piece of furniture upside down as a prank, that was Meredith. I am extremely proud to have this long-term friendship with both Meredith and the Irwin family. A lot of people I know talk about how they are not friends with their high school and childhood friends anymore. But I think it's beautiful. It's been important to my life that Meredith and I watched each other be a kid, grow into a grumpy teenager, and learn how to be an adult together. We have walked through a lot of life changes, mindsets, difficult situations, and also tragic family situations together. Meredith actually even sat by my side as my grandmother passed away. We also developed an amazing friend group of gals who we not only destroyed my parents' house with by jumping off balconies in their house and destroying it with glitter, but we also created a really important community with each other that will last a lifetime. Shout out to you guys. I should probably introduce John now. John and I met in Orlando, Florida, which is ironic because we are probably the two people who don't ever desire to be within a 5-mile radius of Disney World. This was for a work trip before I started teaching. But John and I worked on different floors in the school, so we didn't get to know each other well my first year. I knew about John a couple things. One, he went to Walnut Hills High School. Okay, calm down. We know that you're the best high school in the country. Oh my gosh, where am I? I knew I was gonna get the stuff for Walnut Hills. But because like true Cincinnatians, that was the first thing we asked each other after our name was what high school we went to. John still owned a flip phone. He rode a bike to school. And he put on an 18th century wig to teach the Constitutional Convention while talking in a British accent all day. So that's what I knew about John. It wasn't until the last day of school in 2017 that I actually got to know him well. We went to a restaurant that accommodated with our vegan friend, Bethany. We had great conversations about philosophy that I love to have with people. So I knew he would be a good friend. Shortly after, John took us to where he lived. He was living on a commune with a few other couples, and I remember they had solar panels. I distinctly remember saying to John, "Hey, you're kind of a hippie." And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "I have a hippie friend named Meredith. You guys should date each other." I was surprised when he actually seemed interested because normally my hookup, like my random hookups don't matter. But he was like, "Oh, really?" enthusiastically. And I responded with, "Well, yeah, but actually she lives in Arizona right now. And also she's kind of out of your league." I didn't say the last part. It wasn't too much longer after Meredith moved back to the great state of Ohio that she was living in a house that I had recently bought and paying rent in wild ways. One time she hung hundreds of dollar bills to my ceiling. Another time she froze the cash, so I had to de-thaw it first. And the final weird time was she messed with what I get grossed out by the most with, which is wet hair. And so she put the rent in a jar with a bunch of wet hair. And I had to fork it out, and I gagged at every single moment. So if Meredith's ever going to be a tenant for you, don't do it. Shortly after this torture, Mare and John would actually have their first kiss on the roof of my house. It's my biggest claim to fame here. And my favorite thing about their relationship is that they love to do things together that nobody else would ever want to do with them. For example, they made salt. Okay? So, there's a lot of us, like I'm sure we have some bread makers in the house. Meredith's a bread maker too. And I like to smoke meat. I smoked the chicken. I don't know if you guys tried it. But like part of the appeal of working really hard on something is to like hear people say like, "Wow, I can really tell you worked hard on that. That was really good." I have never bitten into something, and I've never seen anyone bite into something and say, "Wow, that salt is just excellent." But Meredith and John really wanted to make salt from ocean water. Another thing they love to do with each other that nobody likes to do. They love washing dishes. And I know that sounds weird, but John bought his house and it didn't have a dishwasher, and my thought was just like, oh, okay, he just bought a house that didn't have a dishwasher, like that's fine, that happens. But then Meredith and John bought a second house together recently, and it also didn't have a dishwasher. So I was like, do they just go through Zillow, and if it has a dishwasher, they're just like, no, that's not gonna do. Or like I was looking for a filter on Zillow, like if there was like a no dishwasher check mark. Last thing, we've heard of people taking sabbaticals, but normally when people take sabbaticals, they do it for just a fun, relaxing year. No, Meredith and John specifically took a sabbatical to have a more difficult life. But they grew stronger as both humans and as a couple because of it. Okay? So the last thing I want to say is how proud I am to be both of your friends and walk through life with you. And Meredith, I don't know, where's Meredith?
Right over there.
Oh, okay. Can you open the present?
Aww.
So, okay, just so everyone knows, this is actually a re-gift. Mrs. Irwin got these walkie-talkies for me for my wedding. And so Meredith gets the other half. And no. Channel 2. So happy wedding. Is it coming? All right. Happy wedding day. Let's make sure these walkie-talkies are always within range, and so we will continue that and now hold each other accountable to our marriages. We love you guys. Happy wedding day.